When you create your first C++ program, it's going to be looks a little bit something like this. You all would have the main function. What we've got here is the function, and main is the name of the function. So our function is called the main. And this parentheses just tells you that what we've got here is a function. Think of a function as a machine that does something. So here is a machine. Sometime it will have input, sometime it will have output, and the machine name is main. So when we execute our program, it immediately automatically calls the main function. So it runs on our machine. Most of the time, we're not going to have any input, but we likely have some output. And the return is the output. So here we're returning a 0. And our function is saying that the output is 0. And what's coming out of this machine is 0. That doesn't really mean anything to you right away, but the computer understands that 0 means everything went okay. So you might see the return 0. And return 0 is optional, so you can get rid of that. If so, the computer understands that nothing broke, nothing went wrong, so it's went okay. And it's going to be return 0 automatically. So here is the function, and main is the name of the function. And between these curly braces, we put what are known as statements. Statements are when we tell the computer to do something. So here we tell the computer to return 0. And you can put extra statements before the return. For example, I could say std : cout using these operators. Hello C++. And that's how we write it to the console, and we end that statement with a semicolon. So this std, which by the way means standard, : cout, and that our object, std : cout, it comes from somewhere. In order for this to become available to us, we have to include it in our C++ program. And because of that, inside of your C++ program, at the top of the program, you are going to have something look like this. Hash include IOStream. And this is called preprocessor. And this IOStream library, it's called the header file. And for now, we can use cout because we're taking advantage of this IOStream, which stands for input output stream. And that works because what is known as preprocessor. This is a preprocessor. The preprocessor is something that happens before all of the code is compiled. And the preprocessor is basically going to take the content of this file and put it inside our program to make it available for us. So what is left for us is this. What is this int? It's known as a return type. So here is the return, and that is the return type, and they are related, because if you look at what we're returning here, we're returning a 0, and 0 is an example of an integer. So the return type is int, which is a short for integer. By the way, if you don't know what an integer is, just a number without any fractional parts. So for example, 7.737 is not an integer, but 7 is an integer because it's 7 without dot anything, just 7. Right. So basically what you need to know, and that is the main function, it's called the main, and it's going to be executed immediately when you run your program. So the first line that gets executed, it's going to be a line 6, which is the first line inside of this main function. What this line does, it's going to console out hello C++. And that is possible because it uses cout object which included from this iostream file. After that is done, it says return 0, which means nothing catastrophic happened. And return 0 is actually optional, so you can get rid of that and it's going to be good to go. So yay! When you first start with C++, you might see something that looks a little bit like this. Using namespace std semicolon. You might see it here, or you might even see it up here like this. So what exactly does this using namespace std do? What it's going to do, it's going to take everything inside of the standard namespace and make it that available for us directly. So for now, we don't have to prefix it with this std : just like that. The technical term for this is using directive, but the question is this good practice or this is bad practice? Honestly, when you first starting out, it is not a huge deal, but the issue comes up when you first start importing a bunch of different projects or libraries, because it can introduce naming conflicts. By prefixing things with the appropriate namespace, you are being very specific about what item you are trying to reference. So in this situation, std : cout, it knows exactly you are trying to reference the cout object that inside of the standard namespace. And the alternative is called using declaration. It looks very similar but works a little bit differently. So what you can do, get rid of that namespace keyword. The way to do this, but using followed by the namespace you want to use, so standard. And now we want to be specific about what object we want to make available to us. So : we need cout object specifically, so cout, and then a semicolon. So for now we don't have to put a standard before cout, and it should compile. But the benefit here is that we only did this with cout specifically, so it's going to extremely reduce any chance of naming conflicts. But the location you put this actually matters. So if you put it here, it's going to work for the entire program. And if you take it, for example, and put it down here like this, now it's only allow us to use shorthand within these curly braces.